Special thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Hey everybody, Jeremy here. So today in the kitchen, I'm going to be making caramelized onion meatloaf sandwiches with a horseradish Dijonnaise sauce and potato wedges, courtesy of our friends at HelloFresh. I'm going to show you everything that you need in order to put this together, and trust me, it is not difficult. So we're going to do things one step at a time, starting with the potato wedges. So all you need is your favorite potatoes, like the ones I got down here, and we are just going to cut these into wedges first. Now, the best way to do this, the safest way to do this, is to simply take the potatoes and cut them in half first. That way, when you got this flat side here, you can just lay it flat down on the cutting board, and you don't have to worry about it just rolling around as you're trying to cut, because you don't want to hurt yourself, right? So just get the flat side on the surface and just be kind of generous with the chunks, you know, around like 1 inch or so wedges. Then when you have these wedges like that, just move them over to a sheet pan. So I got myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 7 potatoes all together, and I'm going to cut all of those up and I'm going to put them all on a sheet pan just like this one. I'm using aluminum foil because, you know, it's just easier to clean up that way. But that is going to be the first step. Get out your favorite knife and start cutting those potatoes. So now we got all the wedges laid out on the sheet pan. And even though it looks like you're not going to get a lot of them out of those tiny little potatoes, trust me, you will. So for this, I'm just going to drizzle some olive oil over them. Not a whole lot, but you know, just enough so that they can get coated but not drenched. And then just going to season these with a little bit of salt and also a little bit of pepper as well. Now, what I like to do, since I'm a kid at heart, is to play with my food a little bit. All right, make sure your hands are clean. And I like to get in there and just kind of mix it up, you know? Make sure that all of those wedges have olive oil on them, and the salt, and the pepper. And once I know that they are all nice and good and coated like this, I'm just going to spread them out. And at this point, you can prepare your oven. 425 degrees. You want these to cook for about 15 to 20 minutes. But for now, I'm just going to set these aside for when I am ready for them. Because now we're going to start working on that meatloaf. And I'm going to make sure that they both cook at the same time so that they can be ready at around the same time. So now we can get started on the meatloaf. And I have myself here 10 ounces of ground beef right here. And then here are all the little extra ingredients that we're going to need to mix it all up. And that's one of the good things about HelloFresh, is because they portion all of this out for you so you don't have to worry about it. So now I'm just going to put this beef into our bowl. And then to the beef, I'm going to add these panko breadcrumbs here, the entire bag. Also have some garlic powder as well. Got some chicken stock concentrate in this pouch. We'll squeeze all of that in there. We got a packet of ketchup here, and I'm just going to use about half of the pack of ketchup and then use the other half a little bit later on. So I'm going to save this for later. And then I got about 2 tablespoons of minced onion. Dump that in there too. Now a little bit of more salt and a little bit more pepper. Just like last time, we get to play with our food a little bit. At least I am. Get your hands in there and just combine everything. Doesn't that look fun? It smells pretty good too. Another pro tip is, if you don't want the beef to stick to your hands and get really messy, just make sure they're a little bit moist. That way you won't have to worry about that too much. So while I make sure that this is all nice and mixed up, now is a great time for me to tell you a little bit more about the sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. So I don't know about you guys, but it's starting to get pretty expensive to get takeout, and the quality of the food from a lot of takeout restaurants is not as good as it used to be, which is why I think it's a great idea for us to all spend more time in our kitchens and just cook in here. And that's where HelloFresh comes in. With HelloFresh, you can get fresh ingredients and recipes delivered straight to your door in under 7 days. They ship each recipe in individual bags, so you'll always know which ingredients go with which meal. And many of those recipes can be ready to eat in less than 15 minutes. And while I'm going to be enjoying this meatloaf, you can choose from a variety of other recipes as well on their website. You can even choose from Calorie Smart or Carb Smart recipes for meal prep. So if you're interested in joining HelloFresh, click the link in the description and you will get a very generous limited time only discount along with free shipping. So join me in the kitchen with HelloFresh and join today. So now we have our meatloaf all nice and combined, and I got myself another sheet pan. So I'm just going to take this loaf here and I'm going to separate it into 2 pieces, about as evenly as I can. And I'm just going to mold it into a loaf shape and put it right down here on this pan. Kind of like that. All right, now we're just going to take our other one, put that down there. Boom. So now we got ourselves 2 loaves of meat. Beautiful. And now I'm going to take the rest of that ketchup that we had, and I'm just going to put the ketchup on top. Try to make it as even as I can. There we go. And from there, I'm just going to take this little brush here and just brush this ketchup all along the top and the sides of this meatloaf. That is producing a very nice color. Look at that. Almost feel like you're barbecuing, you know, but you're not. We're just cooking meatloaf and we're going to make some wonderful sandwiches out of it. So now that that's all good and brushed in, it's time to put these in the oven. Remember, 425 for around 20 minutes. That's for the fries and also for the meatloaf. So while the wedges and the loaves are cooking, we're going to work on the caramelized onions. So I'm going to add some oil to our skillet. And I'm going to take the rest of that whole onion from earlier and just dump it all inside of this pan. And we're going to cook these onions until they are good and brown. So now that these onions are good and soft and they have a little bit of color on them, I'm going to toss in about a teaspoon of sugar and a little bit of water. So these onions are now done, and I'm just going to transfer them over into a bowl so that we can use this pan for our bread next. Now let's get started on the bread. I got myself a tablespoon of butter. I'm just going to get that butter nice and melted, and then we'll toss in our 4 slices of bread. So now everything is done. Let's start building these sandwiches. So first, I'm going to take some of these caramelized onions here, and I'm going to put them on 1/2 of each of the bread slices. And now I have this sauce here that's made up of horseradish sauce, mustard, and mayonnaise. And I'm going to put this on the second half of the bread, maybe a little bit more. Just sort of spread that around, just like that. Now to cut into this meatloaf. Ooh, look at that. Still nice and hot. You can see that steam coming off of it. So we can just take these pieces here and put it right on top of those caramelized onions. And that is our caramelized onion meatloaf sandwich with a horseradish Dijonnaise sauce, but let's give this a taste. Nice crunchy bread. Put butter on the pan too, so it's nice crunchy and buttery bread. Those onions also have a good crunch. A little bit of sweetness from that ketchup. This is great for lunch. Very, very good for lunch. Let's try one of these wedges now. Really nicely seasoned, these wedges are. These are so good. They're like, really would prefer these to, like, you know, restaurant takeout fries. You know, these are really good and they're fresh. Made them all right here in the kitchen, right here in our oven. So just remember, if you want to make recipes like this, and better yet, get all the ingredients pre-portioned out and sent directly to your door, sign up for HelloFresh. Check out the link in the description. And once again, you're going to get a special limited time only discount plus free shipping when you do. So thank you so much to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. And thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, I'm Jeremy, and I'll talk to you later.